Today, we're diving into a golden age of gaming, counting down the top 10 video games of the 1990s. Whether you grew up in the era or you've come to appreciate these classics later on, the 90s were an iconic time for video games, and many of these titles still hold up today. So, grab a snack, hit that subscribe button, and let's jump into the list of the best games that defined a generation. Number 10. Sonic the Hedgehog. Kicking things off at number 10 is Sonic the Hedgehog, released in 1991 for the Sega Genesis. Sonic's blazing speed and the vibrant, colorful world of Green Hill Zone immediately captured the attention of gamers worldwide. One reason this game belongs on our list is its revolutionary speed-based platforming. At the time, no other game let you move with such lightning-fast precision, making Sonic stand out from the slower-paced platformers of the era. Secondly, Sonic the Hedgehog put Sega on the map, making it a serious contender against Nintendo. Without Sonic, Sega may never have become the powerhouse it was in the 1990s, and this character would go on to become a gaming icon. Lastly, Sonic the Hedgehog is praised for its unforgettable soundtrack, composed by Masato Nakamura. The music perfectly complemented the fast-paced gameplay, with tracks that are still beloved by gamers today. Number 9. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. At number 9, we have Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, a game that came out in 1999 and took the world of extreme sports by storm. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater brought skateboarding culture into the mainstream, offering a combination of exhilarating tricks and fluid controls. One of the main reasons this game earns a spot in the top 10 is its groundbreaking soundtrack. It introduced millions of players to a blend of punk rock, hip-hop, and ska, which added to the high-octane, rebellious spirit of the game. On top of that, the game offered a perfect balance between being easy to pick up but tough to master, making it addictive for both casual gamers and hardcore players alike. Another key reason is its cultural impact. The game's success helped boost the popularity of skateboarding as a sport and led to an entire generation of players picking up actual skateboards and attempting to replicate what they did in the game. Number 8. Super Mario Kart. Next up at number 8 is Super Mario Kart, released in 1992 for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. This game pioneered the kart racing genre, and it still stands as one of the most beloved multiplayer experiences of all time. The first reason it belongs in the top 10 is that it introduced a whole new type of competitive gaming. The multiplayer battle mode, in particular, created endless replayability, as friends could go head-to-head in fun, chaotic races. Secondly, Super Mario Kart laid the foundation for an entire franchise that continues to thrive today. The items like shells and banana peels, which added both strategy and randomness to the races, became staples of the series and influenced countless kart racing games that followed. And third, Super Mario Kart was pivotal in blending racing with recognizable characters from the Super Mario franchise, making the game accessible and appealing to a broad audience, from seasoned gamers to newcomers. Number 7. Resident Evil. Sliding in at number 7 is Resident Evil, the game that popularized the survival horror genre when it launched in 1996 on the PlayStation. Set in a creepy mansion filled with puzzles and terrifying enemies, Resident Evil delivered a perfect mix of tension and fear. The first reason this game deserves a spot in the top 10 is its atmosphere. From the eerie music to the heart-pounding jump scares, it redefined what video game horror could be. The second reason is the game's influence on the entire genre. It established mechanics like limited ammunition, save points, and a fixed camera angle, which became defining features of survival horror for years to come. Lastly, Resident Evil delivered a cinematic experience that set a new standard for storytelling in games. The use of live-action cutscenes and dramatic voiceovers may be cheesy by today's standards, but at the time, they made the game feel more like a Hollywood thriller. Number 6. Street Fighter II. Coming in at number 6 is Street Fighter II, released in 1991. This game revolutionized the fighting game genre with its deep combat mechanics and iconic roster of characters like Ryu, Chun-Li, and Guile. First and foremost, Street Fighter II deserves its place because it practically birthed the competitive fighting game scene. The precision and skill required to master its moves made it a staple in arcades and gaming tournaments. Secondly, its unique characters, each with their own backstory and fighting style, added a layer of depth that made players want to learn them all. It's no exaggeration to say that Street Fighter II set the standard for every fighting game that came after it. Lastly, Street Fighter II was responsible for popularizing the concept of combos in fighting games, allowing players to string together moves in ways that became essential to competitive play. This innovation remains a key aspect of fighting games to this day. Number 5. GoldenEye 007. At number 5, we've got GoldenEye 007, a 1997 release for the Nintendo 64 that forever changed the landscape of first-person shooters on consoles. One of the most innovative aspects of GoldenEye was its split-screen multiplayer mode, which became an instant classic for friends wanting to battle it out in the same room. This feature alone made the game legendary, as it offered an experience unlike any other on the market at the time. Secondly, the single-player campaign was impressive, with levels that encouraged multiple playstyles, whether you wanted to go in guns blazing or sneak around like a true secret agent. This game proved that first-person shooters weren't just for PCs, opening the door for future console shooters. A final reason GoldenEye deserves its spot is its influence on multiplayer shooters. The competitive, fast-paced matches it pioneered in split-screen mode laid the groundwork for modern shooters like Halo and Call of Duty. Number 4. Final Fantasy VII. Coming in at number 4 is Final Fantasy VII, a game that truly redefined the RPG genre when it was released in 1997. Final Fantasy VII brought emotional storytelling, deep character development, and stunning 3D graphics to the PlayStation, making it one of the most iconic RPGs of all time. The first reason this game deserves to be here is its narrative. The death of Aerith, the motivations of Sephiroth, and Cloud's personal struggles made for a gripping, cinematic experience that felt ahead of its time. The second reason is its massive impact on the RPG genre in the West. Before Final Fantasy VII, RPGs were primarily popular in Japan, but this game made them mainstream globally and proved that video games could tell epic, emotionally resonant stories. A third reason is its use of pre-rendered backgrounds and CG cutscenes, which set a new standard for visual storytelling in games, further pushing the boundaries of what video games could achieve in terms of production quality. Number 3. The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. At number 3, we have The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, released in 1998 for the Nintendo 64. Ocarina of Time was groundbreaking in nearly every way, offering a seamless 3D world, complex puzzles, and a memorable story. The first reason it earns a spot in the top 10 is its influence on open-world gaming. Many elements that are now standard in open-world games, like locking onto enemies in combat, horseback travel, and non-linear exploration, can trace their roots back to this masterpiece. Secondly, the emotional depth and immersive world-building of Ocarina of Time helped elevate video games as an art form. Its legacy continues to this day, with fans and critics still considering it one of the best games ever made. Lastly, the game introduced the Z-targeting system, which made combat in 3D environments intuitive and fun. This system became a staple in future action-adventure games and was a key innovation in 3D game design. Number 2. Super Mario 64. At number 2, we've got Super Mario 64, which set the standard for 3D platforming when it launched on the Nintendo 64 in 1996. The game was a technical marvel, with its open-world exploration and precise controls. The first reason it belongs here is its revolutionary use of 3D. Before Super Mario 64, platformers were mostly 2D side-scrollers, but this game completely redefined what was possible in gaming. Its tight controls and expansive levels made exploration and movement a joy. Secondly, the game's sheer influence on the gaming industry cannot be overstated. It established many of the camera and movement mechanics that 3D games use to this day. A third reason is its accessibility. Super Mario 64 managed to strike a perfect balance between being simple enough for newcomers to enjoy and complex enough for seasoned gamers to master. This broad appeal helped make it a must-have title for the N64 and a true classic in gaming history. Number 1. The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. And finally, at number 1, we have The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, released in 1991 for the Super Nintendo. While Ocarina of Time revolutionized 3D gaming, A Link to the Past perfected 2D adventure games, delivering an incredibly rich world full of secrets, puzzles, and engaging combat. One reason it takes the top spot is its brilliant game design. The dark world, light world mechanic added a layer of complexity and depth that was unheard of at the time, making every part of the game feel interconnected and rewarding. Secondly, the game's influence can still be felt in modern action-adventure games. From its top-down perspective to its item-based progression system, A Link to the Past laid the groundwork for what makes a great adventure game. Lastly, its seamless blend of exploration, combat, and puzzle solving created a sense of adventure that few games have managed to replicate, ensuring that A Link to the Past remains a timeless classic. So, there you have it, the top 10 video games of the 1990s. Each of these games pushed boundaries and shaped the gaming world we know today. Whether it was through introducing new genres, refining old ones, or simply creating unforgettable experiences, these titles will forever be classics. If you enjoyed this countdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on future content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.